Good morning and welcome to Living Local 15. I'm your host, Jessica Williams. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's time to grab a cup of joe and enjoy the show. First up, we are learning how to get involved in the Giving Tuesday Challenge presented by the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne. Then it's Wealth Wednesday with Foster Financial, and we're wrapping up our Spousal Inheritance Planning series by discussing annuities. And later, it's Medicare Because We Care with Kevin McIntire. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Fashion, food, and fun. You're watching Living Local 15 with your host, Jessica Williams.
This segment sponsored by Community Foundation. The Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne inspires philanthropy by encouraging charitable giving, conducting meaningful grant making, and leading community initiatives. And Kylie Tate Potts, their Director of Philanthropic Services, is here to share about their Giving Tuesday Challenge. Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me today.
Yes. Okay. Well, this is the season of giving, and we love that each year we get to learn about the challenge that really impacts all of Fort Wayne. So let's start off by talking about Community Foundation and really what you all do for our community.
Absolutely. So the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne is a nonprofit here in Allen County, and we've been around for a little over 100 years.
Wow.
And the Community Foundation is really a boutique option working with nonprofits and donors on deploying charitable resources. Okay. And we really focus in three main areas. First is working with our donors. So this can be individuals, families, foundations, or businesses, helping make their charitable giving more impactful and inspiring to them. Second is working with our nonprofit community, connecting them to resources, education, and grants. And third is providing leadership to help address community needs. And an example of that would be our Women's Fund.
Oh, that's great. And a lot of stuff happening throughout the year, but I love how you all really make an impact. And so we're going to talk about this Giving Tuesday Challenge, but first, can you share with me, what is an agency endowment?
Absolutely. So an agency endowment is a fund set up by a nonprofit. A nonprofit would seek us out to set this up, and it's really a way for them to support their long-term sustainability. So it's supporting the organization not just today, but long into the future. And many of these organizations, as I'm sure you know, are doing such impactful work in our community.
Right.
An agency endowment provides them an opportunity for reliable and steady income streams for years to come. The funds are invested, donors can contribute to those, and it's really a way for them to secure funding from a variety of sources, a variety of individuals and community members supporting the work that they're doing forever.
Yes, and is this something that you all help them with throughout the year, or is the main focus now during the Giving Tuesday?
The organizations have these agency endowments set up, and they have been set up for years now. Okay. Many of them have been, and they receive support from us throughout the year, but our key focus and the time frame that we really love to support them is this Giving Tuesday time frame. Yeah. And it's really, it's the season of giving, so it's a perfect opportunity for us to promote and highlight the amazing work that they're doing. Yeah,
absolutely. And as you said, you all have been doing this for over 100 years, which is so great. But this challenge in particular, you've had for 7 years. So this is the 7th annual Fort Wayne Challenge for Giving Tuesday. So tell us about the challenge.
Yeah, so Giving Tuesday is actually a global movement, and that's to inspire generosity and philanthropy across communities. Now, the Community Foundation takes a slightly different approach on this, and we really focus on the weeks leading up to Giving Tuesday, and that is that November 1st through November 20th time frame. And we are in it right now, so we are in the thick of supporting these nonprofits. This is a really turnkey initiative for them to be a part of and take part in and raise money for their endowments. During that time frame, any gift made to an agency endowment held at the Community Foundation is matched by 20%.
Wow.
So on top of that match, there's a slight competition aspect to this as well. Organizations participating, and we have 109 of them participating this year.
Okay.
So those 109 organizations are split into 5 different categories, and those align with our giving pillars for our own grant making. So they're separated into those 5 pillars based on what they support in their area of service in Allen County.
Okay, yes.
And one organization in each pillar that raises the most during that November 1st to November 20th timeframe will receive a surprise unrestricted check from the Community Foundation for them to use however they see fit. And so we will be out, our team will be out. I'm sure you guys will be with us on the day, December 3rd, Giving Tuesday, making those surprises. We've given away about $2.17 million.
Wow.
That's the support that has come in from the community to really support and wrap their arms around these 109 organizations.
Yeah, and I know that has to be so exciting, being able to present those checks and really just look into the eyes of the people as you give them support as they support other people, right? So it's just a chain of community that happens there. And so how does this, how can people, like individuals in the community and different organizations, get on board of this challenge?
Sure. Raising over $2 million for these organizations. The public hopefully knows by now how to get involved, but if you don't know how to get involved, we encourage you to visit our website. It's cfgfw.org. On there, you'll see a list of the 109 organizations taking part in the day. We encourage you to look through the list, see if any of them resonate with you, select a few that you'd like to make gifts to, and I really want to encourage you that no gift is too small. Your gift is matched by 20%, and when everybody is giving together, that's how we can really make a bigger impact on these organizations and support their long-term operations and sustainability, because they're all providing such meaningful and important work to the members of our community.
Yeah, that is so true. Okay, so now is the time to get to researching to help out during this time. And anything else you want to share about this event?
Yeah, I would say, after you make your gifts, share it with a friend, invite a family member to also give. Giving together is more fun. And if there's ways that you would like to get involved with the Community Foundation, or you'd like to learn a little bit more about what we do, how we support individuals with their charitable giving or maybe legacy planning, reach out to our team. We would love to sit down and see how we could support you with that.
All right, Kylie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, sharing is caring. So now is the time to get involved in this Giving Tuesday Fort Wayne Challenge, which is taking place through November 20th. We'll have their website listed below for more information, and I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Community Foundation.
Have an idea for the show? Want to find out how you can be a guest? Contact us at livinglocal15@wayne.com.
This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. Welcome back to Women's Wealth Wednesday, where we provide you with holistic financial advice from Foster Financial. And joining me is their Vice President, Caleb Doan. Hey, Caleb.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going well. How are you doing?
Good. Okay, so we've been talking over the last probably a couple of months about spousal inheritance planning and what that looks like. So we talked about IRAs and brokerage accounts and ways that the spouse can access the funds. And so what is the final stage of this?
Yeah, the last one we'll talk about is annuities. And this is pretty common, a common type of account for people to have, and it's probably one of the more complex accounts to inherit as well. Whether you're a spouse or a child inheriting these accounts, there's a lot of different options that you have when you take it over. If you look at like the forms that they'll send you, if you basically call the insurance company and say, hey, my spouse passed away, I'm the beneficiary, can you send me the forms that I need to fill out? There will sometimes be 8 different options on that form for what to do with that annuity going forward. So I mean, there's lump sum, you can take it over as the owner if you're the spouse, there's 5-year deferrals, there's stretch payments, there's a ton of different options, and all of them have very big tax implications. And so, it's a really big decision that somebody makes, and so it's important to kind of probably chat with somebody and identify, hey, how is this actually going to impact me, and what are my goals with this policy?
Right. So with that being different, so what would you say? So the first step would be to contact a financial advisor.
Yeah, probably.
With all those options. But you were saying that they have to make these decisions. So they don't make these same decisions on the other accounts that we talked about, like the pensions and the brokerage accounts. You're saying this was more complicated?
This one's a lot more complicated. Those other accounts still have some options there, but the annuities certainly are the ones that have, the large array of options that you have, probably the most that you have to choose from. And a lot of times people will end up defaulting to take like a lump sum because they think, I don't want to like try to understand all these different weird options. I'm just going to take the lump sum payment. And that's typically the one where you get taxed the most, of course. And so a lot of times we like to sift through that and say, hey, what are your goals for this? Here's the best option.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about that. So you're advising someone, they inherit their spouse's annuity. And so what is one of the first things you look for? Yeah,
so we talked about brokerage accounts, you know, several series ago. And with like an individual brokerage account that, let's say, a husband has, if he were to pass away and leave it to his wife, it gets a stepped up cost basis, meaning she could turn around and cash out the policy and there'd be no growth on it and she wouldn't pay a dime in taxes. With a non-qualified annuity, that's not the case. It does not get a step up in cost basis. And so if it had a couple $100,000 of growth in that policy and then it goes to her, if she cashes it out, all of a sudden you're realizing a couple $100,000 of gain in 1 year, and you're paying a ton to the government in taxes, and it's actually at an even higher tax rate than what it would be in a brokerage account.
Right.
So that's kind of one of the difficulties with non-qualified annuities. That's one of the reasons a lot of times if people are kind of in their early stages in retirement, we actually start to unwind some of these non-qualified annuities ahead of time.
Right.
Because they're probably one of the least tax advantaged accounts to inherit. And so over time we'll say, hey, you know, especially if you have more than enough money in retirement, you have a fully funded retirement, we'll start to unwind some of these non-qualified annuities because we don't want to leave, you know, a spouse or kids in a difficult tax situation down the road.
Yeah, and so let's say that they do get one of those policies that you're mentioning. How do they navigate them? Yeah,
so one of the options that spouses have that children don't have is to just take over the policy basically as if you were the owner. And then you can keep the policy for the rest of your life.
Okay.
The issue is sometimes there were benefits, features, we call them riders on that annuity that maybe the husband had that won't continue on for the wife when she takes it over. One of the most common ones is an income rider. And so there might have been that rider on the policy that gave the husband $1,000 a month from the policy, and they were both using that to live off of. Once the wife inherits that, that rider might not continue on for her life. So there's kind of an analysis that needs to be done. We need to say, all right, do you need this income for the policy? Do you want to, you know, use this to generate income? Is it for growth? Or are you using this for inheritance planning? And all of that will determine what we do with it. Maybe we keep it at the same insurance company. Maybe we cash it out. Maybe we cash it out over 5 years. Maybe we exchange it for a different annuity that does have an income rider. So there's about 1,000 different options that you can choose from when you're inheriting these policies. And it's hard to kind of know what all the options are if you haven't dealt with it before. And so that's where a financial advisor can come into play.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, because, I mean, really, like we talked about, so the pension, the brokerage accounts, the annuities, and there was one more.
IRAs.
IRAs.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of those are accounts that people can inherit.
Yeah.
What can they do now before they lose their spouse to make sure that they understand what accounts they have and to make this process easier? Yeah, there's a lot of things that we do. We do Roth conversions ahead of time. Of course, we make sure that beneficiaries are listed correctly on all of these types of accounts, but one of the big things for IRAs, we do Roth conversions ahead of time. For pensions, we make sure we know if there's a spousal benefit on it or not. For some of these annuities, maybe we start to unwind them ahead of time. For the brokerage accounts, we kind of take a look at the gain that's in there and we make a plan for it. So it's kind of a different prescription for every different type of account. And people have complex financial lives, right? And so that's where working with somebody can help add some simplification to that and make a plan so that you feel confident. Exactly. Working with someone like you. There we go. But in advance, though, that's the important thing. You have to. You don't have to wait until you lose your spouse. Start planning now so it can be smoother. Nothing's ever easier, but just smoother then. Right. Yeah. Thanks, Caleb. Yeah. And if you would like more information about Foster Financial and setting up an appointment, they'll bring you in, give you some warm cookies, and talk to you all about your options. I'll have their phone number listed below, and I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial.
Follow us on social media at Living Local 15.
This segment sponsored by Kevin McIntire, a licensed insurance agent with Health Markets Insurance Agency. Welcome back. We are continuing our Medicare series each week, answering the questions that you all want to know. And joining me is Kevin McIntire, who is a licensed insurance agent at Health Markets Insurance Agency. Hello.
Hi, Jess. Good
to see you again. Yes. Okay, so we are taking viewers' questions.
Yes.
And the first question is for Mark. Mark asks, do I need to enroll in Medicare if I'm still working and have employer benefits? I have heard I may incur penalties if I don't. How would you answer that?
Well, first of all, that's a great question. And thank you, Mark, for sending that in. And it's a question that we get a lot. And as you will come to find out when I answer questions about Medicare, we usually starts with it depends, right? Because there's all kinds of situations. But as far as somebody working and wanting to know if they have to go to Medicare, the first question I always ask is, does your employer have 20 or more employees? So if the employer has 20 or more employees, in general, that person will not be required to enroll in Medicare when they turn 65 to avoid penalties. One of the key pieces of information that they need to obtain from their insurance company is something called a certificate of creditable coverage. So if they can obtain that document from their insurance company, it lets Medicare know that their insurance company is a primary payer and that Medicare would be secondary should they pick it up. That also states that they have creditable drug coverage. So again, if somebody has 20 or more and they can obtain that certificate of creditable coverage, they will not be required to enroll in Medicare, and they will not incur penalties when they go to enroll at a later date. Now, if somebody checks with their insurance company and their insurance is not creditable, they can't get that certificate, then it's very important that they enroll in Medicare when they're first eligible, so they avoid any penalties and any coverage gaps.
So that's interesting. So basically, if they don't have credible coverage, they can enroll. But if they have credible coverage, they don't have to enroll, right?
That's true.
Okay, so I guess a good follow-up question would be, can they still enroll? Like, can they choose to enroll even if they have credible coverage through their employer?
Another great question, and the answer is yes, they can. And in fact, I encourage every person that's going to Medicare, even if they have creditable coverage, to compare the benefits that Medicare offers to their existing employer plan, because there could be benefits in Medicare that are more attractive than the benefits they get through their work. So yes, always compare and then make that decision for what's best for you. Another question we get too is, well, what if I'm turning 65 but my spouse is the one that actually carries the insurance, and the rules are exactly the same. So same creditable coverage certificate, and as long as you have that, you don't have to, even if it's through a spouse plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really great information. Okay, so let's go back to Mark's question. The second part was about penalties. Are there potential penalties when it comes to receiving Medicare?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
And this is something that comes up quite often as well. There are two potential penalties if somebody does not enroll when they are within the appropriate enrollment period after they lose creditable coverage or when they're first eligible. And I think we're going to talk more about enrollment periods the next time we talk.
Okay.
But for today's conversation, we'll focus on the penalties, potential penalties, and those are a Part B penalty and a Part D penalty. So a Part B penalty is a 10% penalty for every year that someone does not take Part B when they're eligible and they don't have other creditable coverage. Now these are lifelong penalties, so it's a big deal. And so 10% every year that you're not enrolled in Part B. The Part D is a little different. The Part D is a 1% penalty for every month that you are not enrolled in a Part D plan and you don't have creditable drug coverage.
Yeah.
That's also a lifelong penalty, and that penalty is based on a national-based premium, and so that can go up and down every year. But both are lifelong penalties, so it's really important to find out if you have the proper coverage to avoid those.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, well, that was great information today. Thank you so much. I mean, the biggest takeaway is making sure that you enroll in the proper time frame
Correct.
to not receive those penalties, and really just make sure that the plan is the right fit for you. All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Mark, for submitting that question. And you too can get your question answered by emailing Kevin at the email listed below. And we will be sure to address that question in future broadcasts, because guess what? This is a weekly segment about Medicare. And we'll have more information about Health Markets Insurance Agency listed below. And I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Kevin McIntire, a licensed insurance agent with Health Markets Insurance Agency.
Living Local 15, proudly driven by the Kelly Automotive Group.
Well, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, you can always catch up on episodes and segments of Living Local 15 by going to WANE.com, downloading the WANE app, and also checking us out on YouTube. And I'll leave you with this. It's never too late to live your best life, so start living it today. And I look forward to seeing you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Content segments during today's Living Local 15 were paid for by these sponsors.